Our theme is all about the dark feminine. So when I say the word feminine, what do you think of? Most likely, words like pretty, soft, kind, gentle kind of came to mind. And yeah, all those things are true. But there's another side to feminine. There's the dark side. Everything, by the way, in life has a light and a dark side. So the dark side of feminine, that's Callie. That's the unknown. That's the wildness. That's the untamed. That's the powerful. That's the potential. That's creation. That is the dark feminine. So it's the opposite side of the same coin, like what we were talking about with life and death. Callie, the image of Callie represents this perfectly. So if you just call to mind the image of Callie, she's got this wild hair, right? It's this wavy, wild hair. And normally, especially women in India, their hair would always be tied back. It would only be their husband who would see their hair in their wildness, in their natural form. So the fact that Callie's got her hair really wild is has kind of a double meaning. It's like I'm going to be my natural self, and I'm not able to. I'm not containable. You can't contain me. And so just think of the wildness of that hair in its natural form versus the straightened, sleek, perfect hair that some of us strive for. I know my hair's looking fine today, but my hair is naturally wild and curly, and instead of leaving it in its most natural form, I chose to do this. Why? I don't know. Maybe I thought that it would look better, that I would look better, that it would film better. I don't know, but I didn't leave it as it's in its wildness, right? Also with Callie, of course, there's so many so many symbols for the dark feminine here, but she's got snakes all over her, usually in her imagery. And so the snakes are also another perfect example or symbol for the dark feminine. They're this beautiful creature that from afar is quite beautiful. If we know that it's safe and that they're contained and they're not going to come close to us, we can probably appreciate their beauty. But when they're untamed, when we can't manage them, when we can't tame them, even though people try to tame snakes, they become scary, right? They become something that we are oftentimes even disgusted by, that we don't want anywhere near us. And of course, there's a natural fear that probably should be there. But snakes like Callie, they're unpredictable. They could be doing one thing with one half of their body and something completely different with the other half of their body. You can't tame them. You can't predict where they're going to go. They're really sleek and mysterious, and you can't hear them, but maybe you might see one up in a tree or coming close to you or something like that. But they're unpredictable, right? And most of us really, really fear that. Also in Callie's image, there's always lots of blood, especially coming off of her tongue and out of her mouth. Blood is a symbol for vulnerability and wildness as well. And of course, we see her with skulls and with a skirt of arms. So she's got that imagery that is in many ways the opposite of pretty. If you look at, say, Lakshmi next to Kali, they're very, very different qualities. One is very beautiful, very soft, very put together. So one aspect of the feminine. The other aspect of the feminine, Kali, is the opposite of that. I don't think anyone would look at the image of Kali and think, oh, she's pretty. Oh, she looks sweet. Oh, she looks really nice. She's the opposite of all of those things. And one of the most profound symbols in the image of Kali is that she's holding the head of a male, and that's symbolic of the ego. And she's also standing, often seen on Shiva. So that's kind of showing her agency, not over the masculine, but her ability to stand in her power, and then her holding the head is a symbol of the ego, of severing the ego. So all those things that we're really attached to, of especially as maybe females, of looking a certain way, of being cool to the guys, of not being too dramatic, of being really soft and sweet and nice, and don't ruffle feathers and look pretty. Don't look too much like this or too much like that, that containment that some of us might feel, no matter what body you're in. I'm not just talking about females, this could be in any body, but feeling like you need to look a certain way or present yourself in a certain way. That's the opposite of Kali. That's all the ego stuff that Kali comes in and rips apart. If you're attached to the way you look, if you're attached to being nice, if you're attached to pleasing people, if you're attached to who you think you are, your beliefs, your roles, your identities, Kali comes in and she just rips that all to bits. So if you think about the image of the feminine in societies, in the collective unconscious, Kali is usually the opposite of that. And one thing that I just want to make clear that I should have said sooner, when I talk about the feminine, I'm not talking about females in a female body. We all, no matter what your gender is, no matter what body you're in, we all have these qualities inside of us. So there is the feminine and the dark feminine inside of every single person's body. Might be expressed a little bit differently, but it's all the same idea. It's the same concept. So to live in the dark feminine is to live in your most natural, wild, untamed self. It's showing up 100% who you are in your most natural form, with your natural hair. So if you want to take this literally, in your natural hair, natural face, natural body, but also in your essence of who you actually are. Some of us haven't even really tapped into that potential. We don't actually know what our gifts are, or what's called dharma in yoga, what our actual purpose is here on earth. Some of us, we haven't even really scratched the surface of how big we can actually be. That bigness of you saying yes to life and stepping into the unknown and stepping into your potential, that is the energy of the dark feminine. That, again, like what I spoke about when we were talking about birth, that scariness, that vulnerability of stepping into the newness, that is the dark feminine. That ability to hold the tension of the scary unknown, to hold the tension of the mystery, of not attaching and clasping onto an outcome or expectation or something that we want to control. That ability to just move forward with vulnerability and integrity as our true selves in our potential, that is the dark feminine.